So y'all already know this, but we're going through like the hottest year ever, like since we've been recording. It says July was the hottest month ever recorded on Earth, with abnormally high temperatures recorded on both land and sea. The European Union's Climate Observatory confirmed warning of dire consequences for the planet. The previous month it was 0.33 degrees Celsius or 59 Fahrenheit, higher than the record set in July 2019, which doesn't seem like a crazy amount, but that's almost a full degree in just 1 year, right? So what, 100 years from now at this rate, if it continues to heat up half of a degree, it will have been heated up by what I say 100 years, so 50 degrees. So your once 80 degree day will be a 130 degree day. Like, it's probably not going to work exactly like that, but just put the numbers into perspective. Like half of a percent or half of one is definitely a really high number. Like ridiculously high. It has not been this warm, combining observational records and paleoclimate records for the last 120,000 years. 120. Okay, so it's not just human recording, like 120,000 years. Said Samantha Burgess, the deputy director of the EU's Copernicus Climate Change Service. The global average temperature for July 2023 is confirmed to be the highest on record for any month. The month is estimated to have been around 1.5 degrees or warmer than average for 1850 to 1900, said Burgess. July was 0.72 degrees Celsius or 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the 1991 to 2020 average for the month. June also smashed the previous temperature record for the month, according to Copernicus, which bases its calculations on a database going back to 1950. And Europe, you know, who's known to be just a colder continent in general, is like getting ridiculously high in temperature. Everywhere in the world. It's not America or the US or just South America or Africa. Like, look at this. This is the whole world just heating up. And if we go back to my previous point where, you know, the numbers stack up over time, I mean, let's not forget about, you know, the ice caps that we just have floating right here. You think those boys are going to last? Nah, those are the first to go. And once those go, I mean, we know what happens, right? Africa becomes like that, and Europe becomes like that, right? Because the sea level is going to rise like at such an insane like degree. Like, so many islands are going to be wiped off. Shit, we'll be lucky to have Madagascar left. Like, the way things are going, and the way things are going is like we really should be caring. It's not like it's a super like generational thing that we won't have to worry about, and our great grandkids kids will have to worry about. But no, we're in it, and 15 years from now we're still going to be in it, and inshallah we're still going to be alive, and our grandkids, our great grandkids, our children are going to be living in this world that we've completely tarnished and ruined. I mean, look at this scene. And there's wildfires going on in south of the U.S., South America, Canada, currently in Lebanon, all over the Middle East. I mean, everywhere is on fire because it's so dry and hot. And then what was that project that Joe Biden I can't think of the name. The Willow Project, right? So the Willow Project happened. I mean, that's probably not the single contributor here. Like, obviously, if the Willow Project happens, everyone's going to give less of a fuck, because if we set an example of not giving that much of a fuck, then everybody else that follows Western ideologies are just going to do what we do. And collectively, it's going to get really, really bad. The Willow Project wasn't just bad because of what the Willow Project would do. It's bad because it sets a new standard, or maybe not a new standard, but it sets the tone, the standard, that we don't give a fuck. That our government doesn't give a fuck. And a lot of us are bots, and will only do what our government says is okay, or only care about, what the government cares about, because they're our biggest example, and they form the society that we live in. But the big detriment of that is the society that we live in is going to be burned and tarnished 200 years from now, because we're creating so many greenhouse gases, destroying the ozone, polluting the oceans, polluting the air, subjugating each other, murdering each other. I mean, expelling nuclear waste into the air, putting chemicals in our water. I mean, shit that we've been doing since the Industrial Revolution. And it's just catching up to us finally, because our population has tripled since then. And so is our technology has exponentially grown multiples of the amount of people that we have. So industry is quote unquote booming, and the way you can tell that is that the world around you is dying. Hope that made you feel hopeful for the future. And then next, I had a little article. It says that the Israeli minister dismisses the U.S. terror label after deadly settler attack. A member of Israel's far-right government has dismissed the United States' description of the killing of a Palestinian man, attack by Israeli settlers as a terror attack. I wouldn't advise treating the U.S. definition as a precise professional definition. At the end of the day, they are not drawing on intelligence, but on media reports. Agriculture Minister Avi Dicher was quoted by local media outlets saying on Tuesday, "What does Israel know about what's actually true and what's like true for the media?" Because the last time I checked, that literally everything on Israel Post, on the Yeshiva Post, on everything that covers Israeli media is a lie. It's literally made up, and it's so easy to tell it's a lie, because if you're not Israeli, it's like, what is this bullshit? That's obviously not true. But if you're Israeli, it's easy for you to get brainwashed and subjugated into a mindset, kind of like it's us to have those same plot holes for U.S. capitalism. So they have those too. I think it's really funny. It's like, yeah, the United States' media is just as fucking bad, right? It's not better, but Israelis is not better either. We're right at that little bar together, right, of both being pieces of shit. And Israelis kind of like still has some of our placenta on it after we gave birth to it not too long ago. And they're right. Like, our definition of terrorist is anybody that is in opposition to the United States government. So the one time that the United States actually calls somebody a terrorist, they're going to be like, well, as you guys know, the United States hasn't really got a good rap for that. And it's like, bro, you're Israel. What do you know about that? You're, again, just as bad. And I agree, though. I also agree that the United States would definitely be mostly, like, the reason they would have called that a terror attack is for media reports, I'd assume. But at the same time, I can't really see a reasoning, because the United States has no reasoning at all to side with Israel or with Palestine, since financially we're completely involved with Israel in pretty much every industry: agriculture, technology, finance, media, politics, all in Israel. So we're very involved with them. We want nothing to do with the poor brown people, right? That's the typical United States. That, I mean, they're only poor because we put them that way, right? But like, we don't want anything to do with brown people. We'll deal with the white people. But then the one time that we're like, you know what, we're gonna side with one of the brown people, then all of Israel is like, no, that's not true. There's never been a terrorist Israeli ever. Like that's bullshit. And I hope this confirms that, like, when Israel denies their citizens who act violently, when they deny them as terrorists, that they're lying, or they're just making up bullshit, or they're using their own definition, because we live in a subjective society. But there's no basis of truth in there. And again, the United States definitely probably like has its own agenda in pushing uh, the Palestinian that was attacked, or the attacker of the Palestinian, as a terrorist. Um, just because it's just so bizarre that they would come out and then start siding with Palestine. Not even siding with Palestine, but just being truthful about Palestine after lying for the past, I don't know, 80 years. Everything gets poured in the media reports, things that are correct, things that are wrong, tendentious, and other things. In the end of the day, what is important as far as we are concerned is what happened here. Ditcher, a former head of the Shin Paternal Security Service, told Israelis army radio. Qasi Jamal Matan was 19 and shot dead in the Barqa sheets of Ramallah in the occupied West Bank on Friday as armed settlers stormed the village and sparked fighting with residents. We strongly condemn yesterday's terror attack by Israeli extremist settlers that killed a 19-year-old Palestinian. The United States Department, or U.S. State Department, said in the statement late on Saturday, urging full accountability and justice. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller made clear on Monday that the word choice was not an accident. I'm actually starting to speculate a little bit that maybe they're using the word terrorist because they're actually scared, right? The United States is scared that we have so much financial. I mean, we make so much money from Israel. We don't want to give that up. And we see them commit war crime after war crime after war crime. I think the United States is starting to realize that the rest of the world is not taking Israel's bullshit or the Western media's bullshit about what's actually going on in Palestine, or what they'll call Israel. And that there is truthful journaling, and in often circumstances, the journalist that is being truthful is shot dead, which leads to even more truth, right? Because we could see the nastiest act right before our eyes. They killed the journalist that was reporting on the crime that they were committing. So the United States is like, we can't cover up this mirage anymore. Y'all are getting too crazy and too nasty for the media to not jump on that. So now we're trying to put a band-aid on this, a bandage. So we'll call out a few things that Israel is doing to give them a few warning shots. Chill it out. Calm down. Get your people in line, bro, because we can't be supporting like businesses that be doing this, or not that they can't. Of course they can. But the population is going to, like, we're in the US and all over the world are going to have problems with it. Because we can see what's going on, what the Israeli settlers are doing to the Palestinians, especially the United States, who has banned the BDS movement. It's like they would have no other reasoning to help Palestine unless it were secretly to help Israel, which in turn just puts more money in the United States' pocket. The thinking is that it was a terror attack, and we are concerned about it, and that's why we called it that, he told the reporters. We have also been clear that the accountability and justice should be pursued with equal rigor in cases of violent extremism, whoever the perpetrators are, he said. Miller noted that Israel detained 2 settlers, which he called appropriate action. Israeli media reported that one of the 2 suspects was a former aide to a lawmaker from the far-right Jewish Power Party, whose leader, Itamar Ben-Gvir, is a public security istard. Ben-Gvir was widely regarded as a provocateur, has previously called for the placement or displacement of Palestinians. According to Palestinians, the settlers were a part of a group that threw rocks, torched cars, and when confronted by villagers, shot Matan and wounded several others. And this is not a unique case at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of Israeli settlers will take it upon themselves to go and subjugate and commit acts of prejudice to any Palestinian after genociding and persecuting them just to rub it in, right? It's disgusting. It's absurd. And then Israel has the audacity. I mean, I shouldn't even say that, man. They've had the audacity for so long. They've just been bitch asses for so long. My mind, it's blown. And at the same time, not, because I'm not surprised. Like, I'm not surprised that this is coming from Israel, and that they're lying to the media again, and that they're twisting the media, and they're twisting what the media in the West is from a truthful source to a subjective. We can bend words however we want, and actually, as a matter of fact, the reality that you see, there's no objectivity to it. It's all subjective, and every definition, every word that you have is only subjective to you. So we're going to use words that may seemingly have an objective definition, but we're twisting it. And we're twisting reality too. It's not just white lies. These are plain, like, full rainbow lies, like every color of the mix, bro. Lies, lies, lies. Trying to act like the Palestinians' violent extremisms or violent cases don't get covered equally, even though they happen at a much, much, much more of a minority account. And they are the minority here. That's like saying, again, in the United States, if we were in Jim Crow United States and then we said that there is not enough coverage for, I guess that's not a really good example because everybody was racist back then, but if we took the mindset that we had now and then went to Jim Crow United States and then said that the white people are not getting enough coverage on the hate crimes that they're getting in the midst of social justice, that would be ridiculous, because black people are getting lynched and subjectively or objectively taking the short end of the stick when living in a society with the two in a Western society. Like, they're getting the brunt end, and that's what is happening with the Palestinians here. They're getting persecuted and genocided, murdered with guns, weapons, and technology that is much more powerful than what they have. And then the Israeli media says, well, look, they're actually the really most dangerous ones here. Let's be real. Because they killed 2 of us. But what they won't tell you is that they killed 10 of them. Numbers do matter here. Because what does a number do? You kill somebody, they retaliate and kill. And then you kill somebody, and they retaliate and kill. You have a war, someone kills somebody, someone wins a battle, you retaliate and then have another battle. You see, it's a never-ending problem. And when you have a giant apartheid, like high technology, high economy, right? High military. I mean, everybody in Israel has to join the military. So you statistically have everything on them. Everything. On the minority. And it's disgusting too, because it's like, y'all can't forget that, the Israelis are people that colonized Palestine without any of the Palestinians say, without any of the countries say, without any of Jordan say. They stole it. Just like the United States stole the land from the Native Americans, except Palestine was very much involved with other countries. And white people said the French is going to go freak somewhere in there, British is going to go freak somewhere in there, and the British is also going to freak in Palestine, right? They're going to do all these weird things in the Middle East and then start splitting it up. I mean, you guys have seen the picture with, like, the different, like, white people and that one Chinese bro splitting up Africa. Well, they did that to the Middle East, too. Here's a good chart. Palestinians killed by Israeli settlers in 2023. During the first 2 months of 2023, at least 5 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank. At least 62 more Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli army this year. And I guarantee you that that number is vastly disproportionate to today. This is January and February 2023. It's been a minute. Okay, I think just to be fair, 153. Okay, so this year 153 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli settlers, which doesn't seem like a huge number, but then you have to take into account that the vastness of that number is much larger than we think, because there are a lot less Palestinians than there are, say, comparatively in America, like Americans in America. It's a smaller country, so the scale's a lot smaller when you're talking about this situation. 2023, 5, 3, 5, 2, number of Palestinians killed by Israeli settlers, and this is just reported. I guarantee you that there are several underreported cases. Here are just some names of the people that were murdered. And as you can see, 2, 5, 3, 5, I mean, we're going up.